Guardiola commented on his departure from Manchester City, a new world transfer record by Manchester United. Manchester City's transfer campaign. De Gea returns to football, the new star of the English Premier League. Roma signs the top scorer of La Liga. We are talking about this and much more today. This is a hot selection of the most interesting football news. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and like this video to get more news about our favorite game. Your support is very important to us. Let's get started. Erik Ten Hag spoke about his team's transfer plans for this summer. We are looking for players to strengthen all positions. We need a working plan with the team to ensure its balance. Ten Hag's words were quoted by journalist Fabrizio Romano. Recall that the Red Devils have already signed Lille defender Leny Yoro and Bologna striker Joshua Zirkzee. Apparently, Manchester United will not stop there and will continue to buy more players, at least if we base it on the words of the Dutchman. Erik also dispelled all rumors about Marcus Rashford leaving the team and stated that he would score no less than 30 goals in the new season. I am confident, I trust Marcus. I believe 100% that Marcus can do what he did 2 years ago. He is capable of scoring 30 goals, said the Manchester United coach. Honestly, we have big doubts about this. It seems clear to us that Marcus is extremely unstable and dependent on various factors. But at the same time, he is an iconic player for Manchester United, and naturally the club will support him to the very end. Although, of course, it would be much wiser to part with him while he still has some value. By the way, Transfermarkt still values him at 60 million. Why he is worth so much, we find difficult to answer. But for Manchester United, this is undoubtedly a plus. Let's continue talking about Ten Hag and his team. The press gives us such an opportunity. According to Spanish media, Manchester United is ready to offer Real Madrid 230 million for Vinicius, thus setting a new world transfer record, surpassing Neymar and his move to PSG. Additionally, Vinicius himself will receive a 5-year contract for which he will be able to earn 200 million, that is, 40 million for each of the seasons. The money, as you understand, is huge. We would even say very huge, or rather, astronomical. And now, when Mbappe's move to Real Madrid has become a fact, and not just press talk, the Whites may well consider the option of the Brazilian's departure. In the sense that it all depends on the offer. 230 million euros is a good price. Right now, Vinicius is valued at 180 million on the Transfermarkt portal. No matter how you look at it in this sport, everything has its price. Will Real Madrid go for it? Few can answer this question accurately. We are now talking about the sale of Vinicius in general, not about Manchester United's specific offer. After all, there are indeed reasons to say goodbye to Vinicius for good money. And the main one is his mouth. He attracts too much attention to himself. Last season showed this well. And with Mbappe's arrival, the situation could have become even more tense. After all, these guys will be competing for the title of the main star of Real Madrid, and Bellingham, of course. And what will happen if Vinicius starts losing in this race? We can only guess. On paper, this whole tandem of Mbappe, Vinicius, Bellingham, and Rodrigo looks great, but can they coexist? In PSG, Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi never really managed to play together even though they had such big names. In such cases, everyone pulls the blanket over themselves, and all this leads to problems as it was in PSG. As a result, all these guys were sold. Honestly, we don't quite understand why Real Madrid took Mbappe. The team was winning trophies and sweeping everything in its path, even without him. Well, more precisely, there is an understanding. As they say, you can't spoil porridge with butter, but this can also give the opposite reaction, so to speak, a side effect. Well, we move on to the next block of news. Don't switch, there is a lot of interesting stuff ahead. Pep Guardiola commented on his departure from Manchester City. I have worked at Manchester City for 8 years. I am not going to stay here for the same amount of time again. But that doesn't mean I'm leaving. So much time at one club is an eternity. I want to be sure that my decision to leave or continue working will be the right one, not only for me but also for the club and the players. When I decide to leave, I will say so. We'll see what happens. I absolutely do not rule out the possibility of extending my contract. I would like to stay. In general, it's clear that nothing is clear. I'm not going to be here for several more years. I absolutely do not rule out the possibility of extending my contract. I would like to stay. It looks like Pep has decided to keep the intrigue until the very last moment. We want to remind you that his contract with Manchester City ends in 2025. It is unlikely that we will see an extension for just one season. He will either sign a full contract with the club for 3 seasons, as is usually the case, or leave Man City. We lean more towards the second option. There have been a lot of talks about his departure lately, and Guardiola himself, answering questions from the press, does not speak like a person who is confident in his future. He at least doubts it. However, let's not jump too far ahead and just wait a bit. Continuing with the Manchester City theme, as reported by the press, the Citizens are not losing hope of signing Jamal Musiala from Bayern. The club sees him as a replacement for Kevin De Bruyne. For those who are not aware, the Belgian, like Guardiola, is likely to be spending his last season at Manchester City, and Musiala is supposed to replace him. It's important to add that despite all of Bayern's efforts, Jamal has not yet extended his agreement with the German team, so this gives the Citizens a good opportunity to get a discount on him. Well, because Munich needs to either sell him as soon as possible or re-sign him. Right now, this guy is worth as much as 130 million on the Transfermarkt portal. Bayern will surely try to get even more for him, but time is working against them here, so City has a chance. Whether Musiala can be a worthy alternative to Kevin De Bruyne is hard to say, but at the very least, he can bring something of his own. And yes, there is an interesting point here. Both Musiala and De Bruyne have already played in the EPL and played for the same club, Chelsea. After that, both went to the Bundesliga and fully revealed their potential there. De Bruyne has long since returned and is shining at Manchester City. Maybe now it's Musiala's turn. Manchester City head coach Pep Guardiola talked about his team's transfer plans and specifically whether Kevin De Bruyne will stay at the club. Kevin is not leaving. If someone leaves, we will talk about it. Of course, until the last day, we have chances to make transfers. I do not rule out the possibility of new players arriving, but I think the likelihood that we will have the same squad is 85 to 90%. Guardiola's words are quoted by the Daily Mail. There is information in the media that the Belgian has already agreed on a contract with Al Ittihad. However, the press reported that he would move to this club not this summer but the next, when his current contract with Manchester City expires. So Pep probably just took precautions here. As for the transfer campaign of this team as a whole, there is a high chance that Guardiola is coaching City for the last season. And now, considering his departure, it is unlikely that there will be any loud transfer reforms. It is better to leave this opportunity to the new coach. Moreover, City's squad is such that it can remain unchanged for several more years. Well, unless something out of the ordinary happens, like Ederson leaving. By the way, he seems to be going to Saudi Arabia as well. In this regard, the press is full of headlines about his successor. It is written that Donnarumma might end up at Manchester City. This is reported by the main sports publication of Italy, Gazzetta dello Sport. However, Fabrizio Romano denies this information. And indeed, why would Pep need a goalkeeper who plays poorly with his feet? After all, this is what he values in his goalkeepers, unless, so to speak, he wants to challenge himself and complicate his life in the last season. Pep, of course, is an inventive guy, even somewhat crazy, but not to such an extent. Or this purchase is being made for the new coach, the one who will replace Guardiola. And the club already has an idea of who it might be. By the way, a good question. Who could be a worthy replacement for Guardiola at Manchester City? Write in the comments under this video and explain why it should be him and not someone else. That's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video, and be sure to watch our previous video. It just appeared before your eyes right now. See you. Good luck to everyone. Goodbye.